I love you both.
You're not going to leave Jennifer here alone, are you?
She misbehaves, I want you to put her over your knee, okay?
Good night, Daddy. Have fun.
Jennifer, are you listening to me?
In the busy streets of Sao Paulo, business partners Victor and Matthew are both struggling to keep their families together. Because Matthew grew up watching his own parents live in total silence, he is determined to save his family from the same fate. The two friends decide to escape to Rio de Janeiro for a group holiday. When Victor picks up his daughter Jennifer at the airport, he is stunned to realize she is far more grown up than he remembered. Unfortunately, Karen chooses to take her vacation alone, leaving Matthew devastated. Even though Victor tries to convince her to change her mind, his efforts fail. As a result, the two fathers are forced to head to Rio alone with their daughters. The moment they arrive in the beautiful city, the overprotective fathers realize that keeping their energetic daughters out of spicy situations will be a full-time job. Although the girls are young adults, the men decide to rent a secluded mansion overlooking the city to shield them from bad influences. The next morning, Matthew calls Karen one last time, begging her to join them, but she refuses to leave her solo vacation. To hide his disappointment, Matthew informs the women they are heading to the beach for the day. While they prepare, Jennifer reveals to Nikki that she has always admired Matthew's caring nature, admitting she once had a teenage crush on her father's best friend. Once they reach the beach, the fathers are immediately embarrassed because Nikki and Jennifer decide to show way too much skin. Matthew tries to get them to cover up, but the girls ignore him and dive into the waves. The group later heads to a nearby bar to cool off, but the girls spot a local wedding and decide to crash the party. This leaves Victor and Matthew to drink by themselves. Seeing how tense his friend has become, Victor suggests meeting some local women. However, Matthew refuses to do anything that might count as straying from his wife. So Victor leaves to spend time with a woman named Isabella, while Matthew returns to the beach alone. He finds Jennifer by herself, and she eventually convinces him to loosen up and join the wedding celebration. The wedding guests follow a local tradition and head into the water together, pulling Matthew and Jennifer along with them. However, Jennifer suddenly crosses the line, kisses Matthew, and runs away. Nikki watches from a distance as her father chases after her. Matthew tries to shut it down, but unfortunately, his plan fails, and the two end up lying down next to each other. When they return home, Jennifer tries to get his attention, but Matthew is drowning in regret and does his best to ignore her. She eventually gives up and leaves, only to run into Victor in the hallway. She quickly lies, claiming she couldn't sleep and was just wandering the house. The next morning, Jennifer wakes up early to record the night's events in her diary. On her way to breakfast, she finds Matthew shaving and attempts to tease him. Matthew insists they pretend the night never happened. However, Jennifer is persistent, forcing him to give her one more kiss. This nearly exposes everything at breakfast when Victor notices shaving cream still on her face. Jennifer claims it's leftover whipped cream and starts eating the foam to hide the truth. Nikki, who witnessed the kiss, understands exactly what is happening and leaves the table in disgust. Soon, Matthew joins the group and becomes visibly tense as Jennifer casually toys with him in front of Victor. To make him even more uncomfortable, Jennifer announces she has met a new boy she likes. Victor is unhappy with the news but says he looks forward to meeting the mysterious young man, completely unaware the person she's talking about is sitting right beside him. That evening, the two fathers prepare dinner while comparing parenting styles. Victor proudly reveals that he isn't worried about the boy Jennifer likes because he already made Jennifer promise to talk to him before she reaches any private milestones with a man. However, Matthew points out that since Nikki is now an adult, he is learning to let her make her own choices. He suggests Victor should do the same. Just then, the ladies return, and Nikki announces she is skipping dinner to go out with a new boy. Because Matthew has just finished bragging about Nikki's freedom, he is unable to stop her. During dinner, Jennifer secretly touches Matthew's leg under the table. The man struggles to hide his discomfort while sitting right across from his best friend. Immediately after the meal, Victor announces he is heading out to see Isabella. This leads to Matthew and Jennifer being left completely alone in the house. Matthew tries to insist that their spicy connection must end, but Jennifer confesses that she has dreamed of being with him since she was younger. She reveals that the pact with her father was a total lie. Eventually, the two spend the rest of the night together. In the early hours of the morning, Jennifer sneaks back to her room but runs into Victor once again. She is forced to use the same excuse about being unable to sleep to avoid getting caught. In the bedroom, Jennifer asks Nikki if she is hated for how complicated things have become. Nikki admits she only blames Matthew and warns Jennifer that her father's inability to show emotion might lead to a one-sided heartbreak. Feeling troubled, Jennifer seeks advice from a local spiritual woman. She is told to test Matthew's love by throwing flowers into the sea. If the waves take them away, his love is real. During a trip to the beach, Jennifer tosses the flowers and watches as they disappear. She begins happily shouting that Matthew truly loves her, prompting a terrified Matthew to run up and try to keep her quiet. Instead, she places a special necklace around his neck and demands that he tell Victor the truth. However, Matthew insists that their connection is over. Back at the house, Jennifer tries one last time to change his mind, but when Matthew bluntly refuses refuses. She is left devastated. The following morning, Matthew notices a strange look on Jennifer's face, so he secretly follows her to Victor's room and overhears Jennifer admitting to her father that she had an affair with a married man. Victor is absolutely crushed. Matthew, convinced that Jennifer is about to name him, begins packing his bags for a fast escape. However, Victor catches him before he can leave, begging his friend to stay and help uncover the identity of the man. Because Victor believes Jennifer is comfortable with Matthew, he insists they go to lunch so Matthew can convince her to reveal the name. Jennifer, who is eavesdropping, is excited to hear this, so she takes a photograph of herself and offers it to Matthew. However, the man refuses the gift, telling her that he will lie to Victor to protect their secret. Jennifer insists his age doesn't matter, revealing that the lines on her palm say she has little time left on Earth and she wants to spend every moment with him. Matthew rejects the superstition and pushes her to date a boy her own age named Bernardo. To prove a point, Jennifer immediately leaves with the boy. That night, Bernardo brings Jennifer home, but she blocks his attempt at a kiss. Inside, she finds Matthew sitting beside a sleeping Victor and gives him a silent look to show she is still into him. Suddenly, Victor wakes up and begins crying over his failed life. He tells Matthew that their friendship is the only thing he has left. Soon after, Nikki returns from her date and Matthew tries to act like a protective father. However, Nikki pushes back, revealing that she knows everything about his saucy affair with Jennifer. She tells him that while Jennifer is serious about the whole thing, she is confident Matthew's lack of emotional connection will eventually cause the relationship to fail. The next morning, a desperate Matthew seeks guidance from the holy woman. Unfortunately, she informs him that there is no way out of his situation. Back at the mansion, Victor discovers Jennifer's secret diary and the personal photograph. He shares it with Matthew, who is forced to wear sunglasses so Victor doesn't notice his blue eyes match the description in the diary. Both men immediately confront Nikki for answers. However, Nikki protects her friend by providing false leads, pointing Victor toward a singer at a local club. Upon hearing this, Jennifer decides to use the fake suspect to make Matthew jealous. She heads to the club, with the two fathers following close behind. Jennifer climbs onto the stage to perform a saucy dance with the singer. This convinces a furious Victor that he has found his target, and he launches a physical attack. However, Matthew points out that the singer has the wrong eye color, saving the man. Feeling guilty that her father might hurt the wrong person, Jennifer prepares to reveal the truth. But Victor spots another man named Eduardo smiling at his daughter and attacks him as well. To save the innocent man from Victor's rage, Matthew finally breaks and confesses to the secret affair. Victor is completely crushed by the betrayal and cannot bring himself to fight his friend, even when Matthew begs him to hit him. That night, Victor stays awake to monitor the bedroom doors. However, Matthew manages to sneak onto the balcony and enters Jennifer's room. The two climb downstairs and hide in the car, where Matthew insists that their connection must end now that the truth is out. But Jennifer refuses to listen, believing that having no more secrets makes them stronger. At that moment, Nikki returns home, forcing the pair to hide. Inside, Victor is relieved to see Nikki and finally goes to sleep. Unfortunately, upon realizing Jennifer's bed is empty, Nikki looks outside and spots her father with Jennifer. An angry Nikki calls her mother the next morning and begs her to come to Rio immediately. The next morning, while Victor is packing his car to leave forever, Matthew confronts him and admits that he actually loves Jennifer. This leads to Victor finally losing his temper and attacking Matthew. Karen arrives right in the middle of the chaos and demands to know what's happening. Matthew confesses everything, causing Karen to scream at Victor for being an absent father. However, when Victor defends himself by mentioning that he was out on dates with Isabella, Karen becomes jealous and a much darker secret is revealed. Matthew realizes that Victor and Karen have been sneaking around together this entire time. While the parents fight, Jennifer quietly drops a note and heads back upstairs. Nikki finds the letter and realizes Jennifer has made a dangerous mistake in a moment of despair. The girl is rushed to the hospital while the two men are forced to pause their fighting. The doctor delivers the news that the pills were not lethal and that Jennifer is stable. Karen rushes in and admits she is only angry because she is jealous of the deep connection Jennifer and Matthew shared. Jennifer apologizes for the trouble, and the two women finally find peace. Back at the house, Karen and Nikki refuse to speak to Matthew, forcing him to share a room with a grumpy Victor. The next morning, Jennifer returns with a new boy she met at the hospital. She tells Matthew that their time together was a beautiful dream, but it now belongs in the past. Meanwhile, Karen decides to end things with Victor and asks Matthew to join her on a new vacation to save their marriage. Seeing her parents reunite, Nikki finally forgives her father. 1 year later, Victor has remarried his ex-wife, while Matthew and Karen are still working to repair their bond. Looking back, Matthew realizes that while you only live once, it certainly helps to be young a second time.